Playoff coverage brought to you by TDECU, your credit union, my credit union, CJ Stroud's credit union, and Cody Stoots' credit union. Get that fresh new Texans debit card. Go to tdecu.org/Texans. Membership required, insured by the NCUA.
Well, if CJ tried to put the debit card in the ATM today, he might have a problem if he played like last night. Goodness gracious. Man, that was scary, but they got the win, took care of it in the back end, and moving on to the playoffs. Survive in advance. Survive your own quarterback in advance.
So you look at this game yesterday. I think it's very obvious that the defense, they did the heavy lifting. And despite the fact you'll look at this score, and it's a dominant score, and I think it was a dominant performance on one end. This was a highly stressful game for at least 75% of the ball game, probably more. And sometimes the scoreboard doesn't tell the whole story. But the one thing that I think is unanimous and we can agree on, and we'll talk about CJ Stroud's performance. I think I've kind of seen the light when it comes to that. I was delaying it, but I've kind of seen the light when it comes to the CJ Stroud performance and the good and bad that comes with it. But I think we can all agree this was a dominant defensive performance. And I think it might have been, and DeMeco threw it out there, I think it might have been the best defensive performance perhaps in franchise history. I'm really intrigued to hear what you have to say, but first let's hear what DeMeco had to say about the defensive performance.
It was an outstanding defensive performance, one of the best that I've seen, especially versus a really talented offense, talented quarterback who's, played at a high level for a long time. So I'm proud of our defensive performance. I think this is the best performance we've had in our team history. So I'm proud of our guys for that, to limit the points, to take the football away, not only just take it away, but to go score. You get 2 defensive touchdowns, that's a big deal. It doesn't happen much, and so I'm proud of our guys.
Yeah, I would 100% agree. I think it's the best that I've seen, but really, I say that it's par for the course in the wild card round for DeMeco Ryan's. Like, as much as this was awesome, and as much as they did what they needed to do, and quite frankly, this was close for the majority. I think that's a little bit of the difference in the previous two. Previous two were kind of getting out of control in like the third quarter. This was a 1-score game before the Rankins touchdown. It's just what he does at the wild card. His point differential is now plus 77. He's 3-0. But I will say this is probably, if I had to rank him, this is the best defensive performance of the DeMeco Ryan's era, right up there with Josh Allen last year. I would say Josh Allen last year is up there, but it's at the top. And this is a guy who's an elite defensive mind, so that says a hell of a lot, Cody.
Yeah, it's an incredible defensive performance. It's the best for DeMeco Ryan's. And it's probably the second best in franchise history, behind only the time where the defense did this to Pittsburgh back when Seth was playing. In I think it was, I don't remember the exact year, but it was one of those first few years of the franchise. Offense was giving you nothing. The defense just took over that day, scored a bunch of points. Aaron Glenn scored on an interception return for a touchdown, I believe. And yeah, this is an incredible defensive performance. And I never felt like the Steelers were scoring a bunch of points in this game, period. As the second half started, I was thinking, okay, well, they're scoring 9. So they're getting another field goal at most. Like, I did not feel at any point that the Steelers were going to go out there and put up a whole bunch of points. I did not feel like Aaron Rodgers was going to be able to move the football. Anytime they started to have a drive, something went wrong for the Steelers because the Texans defense made it go wrong for the Steelers. It was a really impressive performance. D-line, linebackers, the secondary was incredible. Just awesome stuff all around. And you talked about par for the course and how good they've been. It's one thing to just, hey, the offense has a 3-and-out, and then you force a 3-and-out. Like, that was kind of like Jacksonville. Like, hey, like the offense, it's not going so good to start the win streak. It's not going so good. The defense kind of has a good moment, and it's not going so good, and then the offense kind of comes on. It's a whole nother level of defensive impressiveness to make up for massive mistakes by the offense. It's one thing the offense had to punt. It's another thing the offense handed them a short field and you make up for it because you either hold them to a field goal or you force them to punt after the big mistakes. That, to me, is the extra level, the extra oomph that this defense brought to this performance.
No, I agree with you. And the way that I was watching this game, and maybe people agree, you people, I do mean you people, I watched this game under the notion that, okay, the Texans just need to make this more than a field goal lead. And then you give the defense at least a bare minimum an opportunity to bend and not break. That's kind of how I looked at it. But when they had the 1-point lead, and specifically when CJ Stroud threw the interception on the first drive of the second half, in which he's clearly still scared to run. Like I asked him about it. Like he's at 20 yards through the 6 games since returning after having 6 of 20 plus before that, 6 of 8. He's clearly scared to run, and I think that's a big reason for his problems. He's hesitant, and I'm not sitting here questioning that I wouldn't be hesitant. I'm not comparing it, but he is way more capable of using his legs than he has done. And all he had to do was either run to the side to have a better window for the throw instead of just throwing it off of one leg, or just run to the sticks. But he did not do that through the interception. But the point I'm trying to make is that was big because it put Pittsburgh a field goal away from taking the lead. And fortunately for the Texans, they were able to extend it to 4, which still gave the Pittsburgh a chance to take the lead with a touchdown. But Sheldon Rankins scores the touchdown. I think that's when people kind of breathe a sigh of relief after a real stressful situation. And I thought that was big because obviously whenever your defense scores a touchdown, it's big. But a lot of times whenever you're recovering a fumble, a coach will tell you fall on it. Sheldon Rankins stayed on his feet. He picked it up and he went. And as a result, rather than perhaps the offense stalling or even worse, or relying on a field goal, instead of taking a 7-point lead, you have a 2-possession lead. And if you look at DeMeco on the sidelines, you can see him. He's excited, but he's also like, oh, thank God. Because that was really where that was the moment where you could kind of breathe a sigh of relief.
Yeah, the making it so that Pittsburgh would have had to score multiple times in that amount of time. They weren't doing that. Could somebody have fallen down? They got 7 points on accident, sure. So you didn't want to be up just 7, but yeah, that Rankins play was enormous. I still don't know how he was able to grab the ball out of the pile, like see it, grab it, and obviously he took off. Guys were laying on the ground, nobody's catching him. And even if there were guys there, Pitre and some other guys were there to kind of get in their way if they had got close. But that was an incredible play. And that I thought, to me, the game was over at that point. Pittsburgh wasn't coming back. Pittsburgh wasn't scoring enough points to overcome that.
The moment when I knew that the game was over and the ultimate bleep show wouldn't happen was actually when there were 2 moments, and they both one of them was just pitiful. It was sad for Aaron Rodgers. I actually felt sorry for him, honestly. Like I wanted to give him a hug at this point.
Nah, screw him.
His ankles click together. He trips and falls over his own teammate and falls down. And he's arguing with the ref for a tripping call when he his knees literally buckled like old man legs do. He falls down and he's begging for a tripping call, not even realizing that he tripped over his own guy. Then they punt the ball. At this point, I'm thinking, just catch the ball and that's game. Like avoiding a muff punt, catch the ball, that's game. I think there was about 9 minutes left. The Texans had the 2-possession lead. Jalen Noel goes down low and catches it. And as soon as he catches it, I'm like, okay, game over. They're okay. And then there was 2 FUs, one from Woody Marks. By the way, that was a hell of a hot mic on that field. My goodness, Woody. Good Lord.
The Atlanta came out after that one.
There was some N-bombs. There was some F-bombs. There was some mother F-bombs. There was a lot going on there with old Woody Marks. And then you had the Kalen Bullock, which, by the way, Kalen Bullock, hell of a job by him. That's historic right there. You get in the end zone on Aaron Rodgers' final pass. That's the center of the trophy case. And we got a big opportunity for y'all. We weren't going to announce this till later in the week, but I'll go ahead and announce it. We're partnering with TriStar, the TriStar show that's coming to Houston at the end of the month. We're going to have some awesome stuff to give away at our remotes. We're going to have tickets to the show. We're going to be at the show, experiences to meet people, including Woody Marks. We got that opportunity for you. But if I were Kalen Bullock, if Aaron Rodgers is ever signing autographs anywhere, I'm going to have like a rando take that football and get him to sign it, just so that I have Aaron Rodgers' autograph on the football, his last pass that I scored a touchdown on. If Aaron Rodgers is at the TriStar show, Woody Marks needs to have like some rando go get Aaron Rodgers to sign it.
That to me is it. I thought Aaron Rodgers was bitching and complaining incessantly in this game to referees, begging for flags and calls. And I thought at one point he was going to get one on the intentional grounding. I thought they were going to throw it on Daniil and give Aaron Rodgers a legacy roughing the passer on a very soft call. And so did Daniil, because his face, the camera caught it. He saw the flag and he's like, but it was an intentional grounding. But
by the way, he also grounded on a second down in that game where he wasn't throwing it to anyone, and they should have called it. It didn't matter because the Texans got the stop, but that was clear grounding.
I thought he had two more after the one that actually got called, the one you're talking about. And I thought there was one where he very clearly wasn't out of the tackle box. But I will say, for Aaron Rodgers to basically say, all right, that's it. That's the last throw of my career. I thought that was kind of neat. He's like, I'll go out with my shield. That's fine. He could have gone in and dumped it off to Kenneth Gainwell for one more throw, and that would have been the last throw Aaron Rodgers ever had. He's like, nah, the kid worked hard for the pick six. That'll be the last time I'm out here. That'll be the last time I play football. F it. He can have it. I thought that was cool.
Yeah, it was just like a beast mode. And by the way, I thought the body language battle yesterday between the quarterbacks, I said this last night on the post-game stream, it was so freaking lit. CJ Stroud looked like I put it this way. CJ Stroud looked like his dog just died. Aaron Rodgers looked like he wanted to kill a dog. Like it was like the tale of two body language. Like CJ Stroud's over there sad, and Aaron Rodgers just looks like he wants to fuck everyone up on the Steelers on the sidelines.
Yeah, every clip you saw of Aaron Rodgers was just
he was so mad. He was so pissed.
Like he just the dude staring daggers at all 89 or whatever guys that are, 68 guys that are on their practice squad guys that I'm sure he was like just staring at on the sideline. He was pissed. I mean, yeah, it's a tough way to go out, but they had nothing going. The defense gave them nothing. DK Metcalf, 2 catches, 44 yards. That was it. The short passing game stuff where they're dumping it off and they're going out there and they're hoping the Texans are going to go miss tackles. That didn't happen. Like they were just all over the Steelers, and so much of that stuff went for short yards or went for no yards, or it was just incredible defense, good tackling. They've had some rough tackling moments over the course of this season, but it was really good tackling in this one. Just a fantastic job by the defense to limit what the Steelers can do on offense and clearly what was their game plan.
By the way, my dog, as soon as I said kill a dog, it went by the door and started barking.
Thought Aaron Rodgers was coming for it.
Aaron Rodgers, you.
Thought Aaron Rodgers was coming for it.
Yeah, she goes out there and starts barking as soon as I said that. Like, you never do that. Normally, you just like to chill by my legs.
Yeah,
I'm going to do it. Good Lord. So the other thing that I think was a takeaway, and we'll get to the CJ thing. The CJ conversation is happening.
Yeah,
and it's been an ongoing conversation. Yesterday, CJ Stroud was basically the joke of the internet. Like CJ Stroud, like if you type in CJ Stroud, you're going to see basically every gift possible. He was the joke of the internet. Is it fair or not? We'll get into that. But I got to say this, man. Drink if you're early drinking, because the switch was flipped by 2 people. Number 1, there it is, late arrival.
Captain Kirk has arrived. I repeat, Captain Kirk has arrived.
Christian Kirk. Someone was giving me credit for calling this. Look, I said he was going to be better. Quite frankly, that one catch for 33 yards on the first drive, I think that would have been better than all but I think 4 of his games this season. Like in 4 of his games this season, that one catch would have been more production. I did not anticipate Christian Kirk having 144 yards.
Nobody did.
Yeah, nobody did. And I'll say this, he flipped the switch. That's for sure. And not only that, I think we can say, and I said this on the Houston football grades, I think this is the best wide receiver performance in Texans postseason history, and I don't know that there's even a close second. And it's not just the yards. he was making third down catch after third down catch after third down catch after third down catch, and he set the tone. Christian Kirk, my goodness, he was basically telling the young guys, handle my lightweight in the regular season, and he was just waiting to flip that switch in the playoffs. Good Lord.
Yeah, Kirk had 8 catches. 5 of them went for first downs. 1 was a touchdown. And I believe the other 2 cut the distance on second down to like third and short. So 8 very impactful catches throughout the course of this game for Christian Kirk, and a few of them explosive plays for 30-plus yards. And then, as I mentioned, the other ones for first downs or cutting it to third and short or a touchdown. So an incredible game by Christian Kirk and a great performance by him. And it couldn't have come at a better time because Nico was off last night prior to the concussion, and the other guys weren't showing up. And so you had Christian Kirk, and CJ found him a bunch of different times and made some really nice throws. Had that one deep down the sideline on the crosser that was really good. And it was a great performance at the perfect time for Christian Kirk. And I'm going to steal one of Cody's context from later. That's the most receiving yards Christian Kirk's ever had in a game. 144 yards is a career high for him. What a time for the career high to show up.
Yeah, just absolutely insane. Absolutely. Really shocking too. He flipped the switch. I think another guy who flipped the switch, and we've been talking about it. He's been better than the quarterback the last few weeks.
Nick.
I thought Nick Caley was good, specifically in the second half. There was some first down throwing that I thought was good. There was the rollouts, the flea flicker. I know he's getting a lot of slack for that. CJ Stroud's got to be able to kill that, just much like he did on the second down on the Texans' first scoring drive. You got to be able to kill that. You also had Blake Fisher miss a block. You had Woody Marks with the poor pitch back, but CJ's got to be an athlete. He's an athlete. He did it on the second down before finding Kirk on third down on arguably the best drive of the season. But I just really think that Nick Caley actually called a good game, and I'll give him his credit.
I liked the dedication to the run game, and I liked pounding the rock and just shoving it down the Steelers' throats at different times in that game. On that drive, you talked about that really good drive where they just had Chubb and Woody really run the ball well, and Caley just kept going back to it. I didn't love the flea flicker timing of it.
I didn't love it either, but it shouldn't have been the result.
No, I understand that. I didn't love the flea flicker. I didn't love that call. The quarterback has to just take the sack and live with it. Like, he just has to, like, when the play doesn't go off without a hitch, you have to just fall down or minimize the loss. You can't go and turn it into a massive mistake. And to have the game that they did on offense where they got plenty out of the run game, got enough in a couple of moments out of the pass game, really good job by Nick Caley. You're right. Christian Kirk flipped the switch, and then Nick Caley, fantastic as well for most of the game. And didn't love the flea flicker, but that was among the only things that I could be super critical of from Nick Caley.
Yeah, I would agree with that wholeheartedly.
Didn't love the end of the first half.
I did.
Didn't love it.
Troy Aikman was critical of it. If CJ Stroud makes the throw to Nico Collins, it's a touchdown or a field goal. Period. Point blank. End of story. Like, I'm critical. I'm not like some sort of hindsight guy. Like, when it comes to my criticism of this team, I think I've proven that. Like, I'm going to say what's in the moment, what I believe in the moment, whether it's wrong, right, whatever. By the way, speaking of wrong, I think we can both raise our hand. The Jalen Pitre extension looks good. He was an ass-kicking, tone-setting, stress-relieving mother trucker yesterday. Like, all the times that you were stressed that this game might go in one direction, whether it was a TFL, whether it was swarming, Jalen Pitre was basically a joint. He was a soothing joint out there. So we thought the extension might be early. I was wrong about that. Yeah. He set the fucking tone yesterday, and we were wrong about that.
What I loved is there were, like, at contact, there were no more yards. And then Pitre was pulling guys backwards as he's tackling them. There was no more yards, it felt like, once Pitre made contact with anybody. He was all over the place. He was setting the tone. I think he ended up leading the team in tackles with 7 in this game. And he was a monster in this one.
Freak show.
And tone setter is the perfect way to phrase it for what he was doing.
For all of it, he was great. Shout out to him. Let's go to the chat. We're going to swarm to the chat here on SNL. Shout out to everyone in here. By the way, Texans Collective at 6, Locker Room at 10:30. We got a lot set up. The TriStar Collectors Show later in the month. We got you awesome opportunities. It's a great show for any collector of any price range. It's the best show. Grew up going to it. We're going to have probably 100 tickets to that and experiences to meet players, celebrities, all that, along with memorabilia to give out at future remotes. It's going to be awesome. Yeah. It's a game changer. We got you covered on that, but we're here to talk ball.
Swarm.
Malik, always worried about Malik, especially when he's batting leadoff. Don't know if he's a leadoff hitter. He's definitely Jose Altuve. He's coming out swinging. There ain't no walks. Malik says, Landry, thanks for finally realizing Pitre contract was a good extension. He would easily be paid $15 million free agency. Kaylee called a good game. As good a game as you can watch. See, we agree. How about that?
Yeah.
How about that? Yeah, I can admit when I'm wrong. It's not that difficult. Rich Boy Jay says Christian Kirk is a flip switcher.
Captain Kirk, can you save me? Captain Kirk, I want to have your baby.
Shouldn't you be a switch flipper? Not a flip switcher?
I don't know. By the way, I've done some investigative journalism, and I found hidden secret audio of Christian Kirk during the regular season and during practices during the regular season. And I did not know this existed. Let's play it. This is exclusively here on SNL.
We in here talking about practice.
And on my lightweight bitches, I'm ready for the playoffs. Ernie Banks Houston says, unfortunately, that entire 0 season from Kirk was required for Landry's Captain Kirk has arrived soundbite to reach its full potential. # worth it. You're 100% right. We didn't let it die.
Yeah.
We did not let it die. We did not let it die, much to the dismay of many. We did not let it die, and it lives on right now. Legendary status.
How many wide receivers have the best game of their career and the worst game of their career in the same season, and the best game in their career be in the playoffs? Like, it's probably a very small number, if any, because he had a game where he had 2 catches for -3 yards earlier this year, and they had a career high 144 yards and a touchdown in the playoffs.
Yes, it was insane. It was enjoyable, and it was all necessary. Like it was all necessary. Like if you look at a third, like if let's say that we didn't cover the Texans, and like 10 years from now, we're looking back and we're like, all right, let's check out that playoff game. Oh, they won 30-6. Christian Kirk 144. Okay, dude, it every time they needed a play from the third down after the snap between, by the way, I don't know what the fuck is up with Andrews and CJ Stroud. There's a couple times where CJ just didn't know how to catch the ball. And then there were a couple times where maybe he wasn't ready. I don't know what's going on. They got to figure that out.
That has to get fixed immediately.
That's pathetic. And they scored a touchdown on perhaps one of the bigger bloopers, which was actually funny and maybe minimized the urgency. But Christian Kirk was, I say all that to say in a long-winded way, Christian Kirk was fantastic and he was clutch. Malik again says, sour taste because of Stroud's play, made terrible plays, then elite throws. I don't blame Stroud being defensive about his play in the press conference. He's feeling the social media heat / memes. He knows he didn't play great. Yeah, I found that a little bit interesting. We'll get to that in a second. He needs to stay off social media. Like at this point, like CJ Stroud needs to stay off social media. That's not something that he needs to partake in. I would not recommend it.
No,
it would definitely be something that I would not do. It would have basically, like, I don't even know an analogy for it, but just stay away, my friend.
Yeah, he's not going to find very many friendly comments on the internet.
Hack-a-Shack says, might be the best offensive performance this year, if not for CJ's mistakes. Kaylee was good. Flea flicker was Woody holding the ball too long and lobbing the pitch. Yeah, it wasn't a great pitch. Still, a quarterback, as soon as he gets in his hands, he's got to make a decision and not do it. But yeah, probably not the ideal play call based on the way that they were doing what they were doing. But yeah, I would agree. I think it was the best offensive performance because we haven't even mentioned Woody Marks.
Yeah, he was awesome.
Let me say this. That was a Joe Mixon performance. That wasn't like this guy might be an RB2 or whatever. And I still think Woody Marks, you should make him like an RB 1B. But let me make this very clear. That was a Joe Mixon-like performance. That was Joe Mixon-like tone setting, and he did a good job. And I also want to do this. You talk about flipping the switch. We've mentioned two guys that flipped the switch. Nick Chubb, third down back. Nick Chubb, there were some solid displays by Nick Chubb. He surpassed his sleeper greater than less than running on 2 carries. Mm-hmm. Nick Chubb was good. And I also think he's pretty smart. There was a play that, this is the nerdiest noticing of things ever, but there was a play at the end where they were kind of trying to kill clock, and Nick Chubb runs to the left, and there's like 4 Steelers coming at him, and he just gets down instead of even risking like getting hit. I thought it was very aware. I thought Nick Chubb was good yesterday. Dare I say, Nick Chubb flipped the switch.
Yep, Nick Chubb had a really good performance for what they asked. A season high for Nick Chubb.
It's close.
It's got to be pretty close. Well, because he had that one game where he had like the big
33-yarder.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't a season high. He's had a 60, a 61, and a 56 and a 47. So,
well, it felt like he had more than 48 yards. I'll say that.
Yeah, it wasn't a season high, not even close. So
it was his best
impact.
It was his best yards per carry on any game where he had 10 or more carries.
Yeah, it was solid. Trill Kick X, off subject, Stoots. You're still looking for Pib Zero.
Mr. Pib Zero Sugar, not Pib Extra Zero Sugar. It's new.
So is that a yes?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Cody's looking for Pib Zero.
No, Mr. Pib Zero Sugar.
Mr. Pib Zero. Nick Caley had a good game, says Wiggles Wing. I would agree. I would agree. Nick. Called a good game. Did he flip the switch? Yes, he did.
There wasn't any like panic offense from Nick Caley. You know, sometimes when something doesn't go right and then they just like, and then you're like, okay, well now they're punting. Like there wasn't any panic offense from Caley. I thought that was a really nice touch.
Well, his quarterback took away 9 points. Like it wasn't great, but his quarterback took away 9 points with the one fumble. It could have been 13 with the missed throw to Nico Collins at the end of the second quarter, and with the interception. So he was kind of fighting an uphill battle with the as they described it at halftime, jittery performance by CJ Stroud.
Yeah, the pressure got to him, and he never settled down.
We'll get to the CJ Stroud conversation. Y'all are having it in the chat, though. My God. Chance Harris says, travel to the game with the fam. 48-yard line, row 7. CJ was great. Okay, that's a take. Fumbles happen in that weather. Well, it's not going to get any better. And a matter of fact, you could have 2 more games like that in the weather. So there's that. Insanely cold and windy. Shotgun mishaps due to how loud that place was. CJ made plays navigating the pocket. TV doesn't do justice.
Yeah, I thought he sucked for most of the game and had a couple of nice plays. So I think we see it differently. Some of the mistakes he made are just mistakes he can't make. He compounded some mistakes and made things worse, and that's one of the worst interceptions he's thrown in his career. So
I'll say this, and this is going to kind of be something that we'll touch on when we hear from CJ. If you think he was great, then the expectations are pretty low. That's the best. Like if you thought he was okay, like I'm not sitting here saying it was the worst performance ever. I think the lows were extremely low. I also think he had some very big highs, specifically on third down. So I'll give him that credit and I'll balance it. But if you think he was great, then you don't think he's worth a shit, because that was not a great quarterback performance. Great quarterback performance. You're probably planning your trip to New England. If you and your fam are going, you're planning your trip to New England at halftime with a great quarterback performance. So I would not use the word great, but different strokes for different folks. And I don't think they would say that either. Here is Armin. The man, the myth, the legend. My goodness. Shout out to you. Man.
Very generous. Thank you, man.
Thank you. And he said it was not a mistake. So I was like, hey, if that's an accident, let me know. I said it in the chats. He says, LFG Texans till I die. Love seeing bum-ass Jags fans so butthurt on X. CJ looked awful, but he's got 6 days to get right. New England are the biggest frauds in the NFL. I can't wait to expose their ass on Sunday. Go Texans. This guy's wired the F up. Now, let me say this.
I like this.
I'll say this. Did you know this will be the least of an underdog that the Texans will be in the entire divisional round? They've been at least 9-point dogs in every divisional round appearance that they've had the previous 6. I actually put out the numbers yesterday. So they're a 2.5-point underdog, and that tells you all you need to know because the line opened at 3. It's already down to 2.5, which tells you that someone who bets a shit ton of money bet a lot of money on the Texans and took that 3, which immediately took it to 2.5. As far as New England being frauds, I will say this. They have one of the easiest schedules in recent NFL history. I still think that Mike Vrabel and Drake May did a hell of a job. I still think they're very well coached. I still think the manner in which they use stunts and the manner in which they know this system and they know Nick Caley's system, I think it's a problem on top of going to the road. But I do think the Texans are the better team, and I do think that the Texans should feel very confident in their ability to win this game.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I think there is a chance that if you believe the Patriots are frauds, the Texans can expose some of their weaker points of their team. I don't believe May or Vrabel are fraudulent, but there's potentially some fraudulent pieces to that team, and I'm pumped for Sunday as well. I can't wait for it to get here. It's going to be another long wait, another long week, waiting for game day.
Well, it's at least shorter.
Yeah, at least shorter. 1 day shorter.
You got a shorter week. I want to actually transition into this point, not transition into this point. So I think transition.
Thank you again for the super chat.
Yeah, thank you very much. And this will be presented by him because I want to skip ahead to glass half full, glass half empty. We'll get back to the chat.
Okay.
But I think this is important because Nico Collins isn't playing Sunday. Like it's not going to happen. He's not playing Sunday. We'll see what happens after that. He's not playing. That's terrible. That's awful. But I think if you want to talk about glass half full, I still think these weapons are enough. I still think this is the best arsenal of receivers, top to bottom, that CJ Stroud has had in this round, even without Nico Collins. Last year, they didn't have anyone. So even without Nico Collins, the wide receiver depth, the improvement of Xavier Hutchinson, the switch flipping of Christian Kirk, the potential of Jalen Knoll, Jaden Higgins, I still think that they have enough wide receivers to overcome that. And Christian Gonzalez is also in concussion protocol, who is their best corner. So it could just be looked at as kind of a wash. 2 all-pro caliber ball players that would have been lining up against each other, both out. So it could just be kind of a wash for the Texans. So that's my glass half full, glass half empty.
It's a great one. It's the concussion protocol working against and for the Houston Texans. Now, I suppose there's a chance that Gonzalez can clear, but a lot of times guys don't get cleared in a week and they miss that game. And I don't expect Nico having to get carted off with his concussion. I don't expect that Nico is going to be able to get clear, especially with one shorter day. So that's a great point. No Gonzalez, no Nico, kind of a wash because Nico's super valuable to the offense and Gonzalez is their best defensive player.
Shout out to TDECU, the greatness of TDECU, TDECU.org/Texans. When you go there, what can you do, Cody?
You get the Houston Texans debit card. You can get signed up and start the whole process at TDECU.org/Texans. You go in the 15 greater Houston area locations. It takes you less than 20 minutes to get that checking account, that savings account opened up with TDECU and get that fantastic Texans debit card. You're going to get so many various perks with being a member at TDECU. Membership's required. They're insured by the NCUA, but man, they can do a lot for you as a member. Your credit union, not just a slogan. They mean it. They're going to take care of you and take care of your money when you sign up at TDECU.
Swarm.
Maxwell 2077 says, even though CJ did everything he could to cost us the game, we still won. CJ's just got to be Dilfer 2.0. Mark Sanchez, Trent Dilfer, like you can do that. And the way that Texans defense is playing, quite frankly, it's not crazy to think that that's what he's got to do.
Right.
So that's just where they're at right now and where things are. Anderson F says CJ's dog was killed. That defense went John Wick mode. I don't know that reference, but I'm assuming that John Wick killed a dog.
I get it. No, they killed John Wick's dog, and then he got revenge on everybody. So, yeah.
Nathan Palmer says that game is why Burke is going to be a head coach candidate. I disagree with that. I saw Peter Stroud said that too. I disagree with that.
Well, here's the thing. He's not a head coach candidate for anybody because nobody with all these openings has requested to talk to him. Second, does he get to take Kamari Lassiter and Jalen Pitre and Will Anderson and Danielle Hunter and Derek Stingley with him? Because if he does, then he'd be one hell of a head coach candidate. It's worth noting, and people have talked about it. We've talked about it all year long, and DeMeco Ryan says it, I think, every week. They're going to do what they do, and what they do is not some schematic geniusness.
No, it's very simple.
They run the least amount of stunts. They run the least amount of
blitzes,
things where they try to confuse the quarterback and this and that. They just line it up, say, you got to beat us, and then teams don't beat them. Like, that's not Matt Burke. Like, that's not Matt Burke dialing up some amazing play. That's rolling the ball out there and letting this defense go out there and play for the most part. Now they're well coached to the point where they don't make mistakes doing their not complicated defense. But, Matt Burke's not. I mean, if Matt Burke's going to be a head coach candidate,
bye-bye.
I could bet on that team every week. I could bet against that team every week and make some money.
Yeah, I like Matt Burke. We've seen him call defenses before. It hasn't looked like this because they haven't had his talent. I think it's just ass kickers being ass kickers. And I think he's the perfect guy because I don't think he is a threat to be a head coach. And I don't think he should be. This is still DeMeco's defense. It's still a collaborative effort. And as you said, they're not doing anything crazy. Now, maybe there comes a point as they have to pay more guys where we see a little bit more creativity. But right now, it's basically Danielle Hunter, Will Anderson, everybody else, go kick ass. Corners, y'all do what y'all got to do. Linebackers, you do what you got to do. Safeties, do what you got to do. So I don't think Matt Burke is or should be a head coaching candidate. This is DeMeco's defense, and this is a bunch of ass kickers on defense.
Yeah, and he has all this. And
we like Burke.
And he has all this, and he doesn't try to go out there and do too much either.
Yeah, we like Burke a lot.
Yeah.
Good dude. St. Louis Rebel says the hate and energy for CJ Stroud is weird. Matt Stafford and Caleb Williams both didn't have good performances for the majority of their games, but were clutch when it mattered. CJ was clutch when it mattered, but the media bashing him and giving these other QBs a pass, close quotes.
Well, I think, first of all, you got to look at a body of work. Like, Matt Stafford has an impeccable body of work, was an MVP candidate this year. And even Caleb Williams, the body of work, all the fourth quarter comebacks, the incredible fourth quarters that he's had. And I think the body of work test, CJ doesn't pass it compared to those two guys. And I don't feel like he was clutch a lot of times. I think that the defense was clutch, picking up some of his mistakes. But CJ, yes, there were some nice throws. Yes, he got Kirk a couple of times. He extended a play after one of the drop snaps to save them from losing a whole bunch of yards. Like, there were some nice moments, but the mistakes he made are egregious mistakes that cannot be made by a player a few years into his NFL career. And he can't compound bad plays and make them even worse with those mistakes.
So a couple things here. First of all, I think what St. Louis Rebel is saying, and thank you very much, St. Louis Rebel. You're one of the best, my friend.
Very generous.
I think what he's saying is, that's my quarterback. That's my quarterback. I get it. But I will say, like, if we're just talking about on the surface of Caleb Williams and Matt Stafford, Matthew Stafford, I think, should be a Hall of Famer one day. And he led a game-winning drive when it was do or die. When his team was back against the wall, he had to do it. Caleb Williams, same thing. The fourth down throw, one of the best plays of the playoffs. I would say the best play of the weekend. And then the comeback. Sheldon Rankins' touchdown was really what set it off. I agree that CJ was good on third down. I agree that he could be better. But I think at the end of the day, St. Louis Rebel just likes the vibe, and he's basically just saying, that's my quarterback. And I respect that very much, my friend. It wasn't like just completely pathetic. I mean, there were some I go back to, and by the way, yeah, Maine says, I low-key want to have Captain Kirk's baby.
Captain Kirk, can you save me? Captain Kirk, I want to have your baby.
But I go back to Bill O'Brien when the Texans played the Broncos, and it was the "you suck too" mother trucker game at halftime, where after the press conference was hilarious because the Texans went down like 28 or 35-0. Kareem Jackson scooped and scored a touchdown in that one. And Bill O'Brien afterwards was being all defensive, and he's like, it wasn't all horseshit on offense. It wasn't all horseshit on offense. And it was like, dude, y'all got your ass whooped. And then all of a sudden they changed the way they played defense, you jackass. It was horseshit on offense. I think that quote actually works with CJ Stroud. Like, if you want to talk about his performance, like there was some horse bleep, but it wasn't all horseshit on offense, to quote Bill O'Brien. I think you could use that quote appropriately to describe CJ Stroud yesterday.
Yeah, there were some good stuff. There were some nice plays from Stroud, and there were some really bad moments from him that just can't happen. And some of them took points off the board, and some of them are plays that he should be making in his third trip to the playoffs in year 3 of his NFL career that he wasn't making.
Jared M1738 says, got tickets gifted to me to the game. What a gift. Don't know if I can handle the hostile environment emotionally. Do I go? You're talking about to the Patriots?
You got to go.
Now, let me warn you, Jared, if you've never been there, the worst commute in all of sports stadiums. If you drive, you need to park and you need to U-turn because it's like a one-way road. You need to U-turn and walk 1.5 miles at least. In the snow, whatever, you got to do it. It is ass getting there. But I would recommend taking the train. The train is the way to go. But as far as driving to the stadium, there's not a worse experience than that. But you got to go. Hell yeah, you got to go. You crazy?
Yeah, go fight some Bostonians. That's fine.
Out there. Yeah, enjoy it. I think they're cool enough. It's not too crazy, I don't think. But whatever. Yeah, get your ass out there.
Yeah, it's just a bunch of punks that grew up on Brady winning a bunch of games. You know, they're not tough like their ancestors.
They've been through a lot. They had to go through 2 years of suffering. What a different generation of Boston sports fans. They were like the lovable losers, and then all of a sudden now all they do.
Yeah, now they're elitist pricks.
Yeah, it's a fact. MHW Nation says, looking back on it, it's a great thing we hired DeMeco, not Gannon or Steichen. He's a leader among men, unlike those two. I was always a DeMeco or bust guy. You do worry about the offense with the defensive minded, but yeah, DeMeco for vibes. DeMeco, yeah, I would agree. Gannon, no thank you. Steichen, I can listen to, but Gannon, no thank you.
I have to imagine, too, that DeMeco Ryan's probably put his thumb on a couple of things to make sure this defense is as good as it is with draft picks and player acquisition and things like that.
That's your expert on using your thumb, Cody Stoots. I won't get into too much detail, but he's a big thumb guy. At least I've heard from some people. Best believe 27. That's what I've heard. Best believe 277 says he's not denying. If our run game can differ us, if our run game can give us 75 plus with this defense, we'll be fine against the Pats. Who does the Pats game? Who do they game plan for? Kirk, Higgins, or Nico? They might game plan for Woody Marks. Honestly, the other thing is that the Pats have terrible receivers. Like Stephon Diggs is their best receiver. And he's not really he's had a good year, but Derek Stingley can match up on Stephon Diggs. Like it's they have some underrated weapons kind of, but it's not the skill guys are not fantastic. It's all the quarterback. The quarterback is the straw that stirs the drink, but his offensive line's kind of depleted too.
Yeah, their offensive line's in trouble, and then from a Pats defense perspective, I mean, you try to force CJ Stroud into some mistakes. Stroud made some mistakes, and the offensive line had a good run blocking game. There were some moments pass blocking where it didn't look good. So, and you think about what the Patriots, when they have been able to make some hay on defense, they're making opposing quarterbacks miserable with some of their complicated stuff up front.
All right, let's go through the landlocked key moments. We'll get back to the chat. We'll talk about CJ Stroud. We'll get context from Cody here on Reaction Tuesday on SNL, presented by the greatness of TDECU. So let's go through these moments, Cody. And I'm actually going to drop a video. I have 15 moments that I'm gonna showcase on the locker room channel. I'm gonna drop that at 4. Since we're not live at 4, so I'll drop that at 4. Texans Collective at 6. It's a busy work day. The key moments right off the top. Jalen Reed already went down. Like Jalen Reed went down like 5 plays into the game, and he ended up coming back. But at that point, I was just like, "You got to be kidding me!" That was very interesting. I was just like, "What is it this time?" And you saw DeMeco talk to him, and be like, "What now?"
Yeah, it was kind of a what now.
He didn't say that, but if you like read his language, it was basically. If you read the body language of DeMeco, it was basically like, "What now?" But he ended up coming back. We didn't really see him too exposed, but Jalen Reed, my gosh, what an absolute situation that was.
I did think it was funny when Reed was down, or I think it was when he was back in the game or whatever. This was one of those like, yeah, no shit, Joe Buck moments. Joe Buck goes, yeah, he went down, he's holding his knee. That obviously has nothing to do with his injured forearm. I was like, yeah, thanks, Joe Buck. Like, I don't think how would his forearm injury affect his knee? Like, what's going on here?
Sometimes the fibula affects the Achilles and all that. I don't know. I don't know if we go that from down there to up there that much.
Yeah. I was a little worried when he was out. I was like, okay, like this is an offense that prides themselves on physicality, and Miles Bryant's not going to handle physicality as well as Jalen Reed would. Let's see how it goes. And it ended up okay.
Yeah, right off the top, you did see DJ Metcalf's they went to him early, 17 plus. But the Texans ended up holding up, and I thought the tone was kind of set by Derek Stingley after the 2 big plays. He comes up and makes a play against the run. I just think it's kind of a tone that is set by these corners and something that they can do. Right off the top, this moment ended up being bigger as time went on.
Captain Kirk has arrived. I repeat, Captain Kirk has arrived.
Christian Kirk with a big contribution, a 33-yard diving catch. And you might ask, well, this is early on. How is this a big moment? It was kind of, first of all, for a couple of reasons, because number one, it was more, that one catch was more than all but 3 of his games this season. Only 3 times this season did Christian Kirk have over 33 yards receiving. And that was already his 4th highest output of the season. And as time went on, it was kind of a sign of things to come that the flip would be switched by Christian Kirk. So I thought that one was a big moment, just because it started and it catapulted the best wide receiver performance in Texans playoff history.
Well, to know that he was there. I mean, the usefulness of Kirk recently had been primarily, really short stuff. 3rd and 2, he gets you 3 yards. 3rd and 4, he gets you 5 yards. But to have that big play, that explosive play, that was nice. And I thought it was a Christian Kirk sighting. It turned into be a sign of the times for that game.
All right, something else that I want to Van Gundy this, Cody. I really want to Van Gundy this, and I still want to practice what we preach, which is tell the Van Gundy philosophy to the people. I say it too much.
Don't ignore in victory what you focus on in defeat.
Yes. Tommy Townsend, you can't shank 22-yard punts. I know that he recovered nicely, but it led to points immediately for the Steelers. Tommy Townsend, by the way, Fairbairn also missed an extra point below the crossbar in the cold weather. Not a big deal because the defense was able to bail out, but you can't be shanking 22-yard punts when field position matters this much, Tommy.
I also thought there was at the time felt like a big moment right before that. The Texans don't get to play in time, and they have to
start.
They have to burn the timeout to save 5 yards. Then Trent Brown false started, and I was like, "This is the crap that sunk them in places like Seattle." Like, you blow a timeout, you have the false start to end up losing the 5 yards anyway, and it was like and then Townsend with the 22-yard punt, like, dude, you can't have a 22-yard punt. That's awful.
Yeah, it was terrible. But again, that's just something to keep an eye on because you might not be as fortunate in New England. By the way, we also discovered during this that DK Metcalf would not be shadowed yesterday. So you kind of wondered about it, but it did not happen. Then you have Xavier Hutchinson. He moves the chains for 16 yards. Texans are grooving. They get to midfield, and then the flea flicker, which I think plenty of blame can go around. Number one, Nick Caley, weird call. Number two, Blake Fisher, horrible block. Number three, Woody Marks, horrible toss. Number four, CJ Stroud. You got to charge it to the game there. You're capable of it. Don't try to force that throw there. So plenty to go around on the flea flicker, and the Steelers get the ball. And right off the top, little bit of stress for Texans fans.
Yeah, just compounded the mistake of the other players on the team, did CJ Stroud. And that's not what the quarterback can do in that moment, just trying to do too much with it. When the play doesn't go off without a hitch, he had to avoid Jack Sawyer. He had to avoid him. It's not like it was like,
fuck that guy.
It's not like it was the perfect execution of the play.
He's like a great guy.
But he had to avoid the guy. And it was like, at that point, run it or fall down or, like, I think your phrase is great, charges the game, but don't try to do too much. You try to do too much, and Sawyer's right there and knocks that thing out. And I thought for sure Pittsburgh's at the very least going up 6-0 at that point.
Man, and that's the same guy against the Longhorns on the 1 yard line who, from that same side, knocks the against Ohio State. They end up fumbling, and he takes it to the house in the CFP last year. So he's kind of a hunt. Now, I thought this was a big moment, and if I were a Steeler fan and I was looking back at a moment as, man, this is where we missed an opportunity. DK Metcalf's open. It would have been a 20-plus yard reception. He drops the ball. And there's two things that happen after this drop, and this is Pittsburgh's third drive. Number one, they have to punt, so they don't take advantage of the mistake by CJ Stroud. That's number one. Number two, they would have gotten in Texans territory, and they perhaps would have expanded on their lead, whether it be 6 or 10 or whatever. And number three, I don't think DK Metcalf gets a target until the fourth quarter after that. So whether it was an adjustment by the Texans where he didn't get one after the first quarter, whether it was an adjustment by the Texans, whether they just kind of tightened up what they were doing, whether it was not as much trust, whatever it was, DK Metcalf goes from potentially making I don't want to call it a game-changing play, but a game that could have definitely reshaped the game a little bit. He goes from doing that to having to punt right back to the Texans. I thought that was a big drop.
Speaking of hot mics, did you hear DeMeco Ryan's right after that?
I did not.
So DK Metcalf drops the pass. Stingley got beat on the play, and DK drops the pass. And DeMeco Ryan's going, nice job, Sting! Nice job, Sting! I was like, I guess, but like DK dropped it. What are we doing? Nice job, Sting.
I will not question anything DeMeco Ryan says to any defensive player. I will not.
You're probably right about that.
All right, so you have that drop, landlocked key moments here. Then I thought this was interesting. So this was the Texans' best drive of the season, in my opinion. And I actually think it's interesting because I think the Texans' best drive of last season was actually in the playoffs too, their last game. I thought it was the first drive in the second half against Kansas City. This was that. Now, we can point to a lot of things here, and we can say, all right, Christian Kirk on 3rd and 2 moves the chains. Nick Caley rolls CJ Stroud out. Good job. Dalton Schultz goes down and catches the ball on 3rd down. Good job. We can talk about Nick Chubb, 15 yards on 2 carries. We can talk about Nick Chubb, another 6. Woody Marks, 20, or the Christian Kirk touchdown. But I want to focus on the second down play deep in Texans territory where there's a QB snap. There's a QB snap, whatever the fuck you want to call it. I don't know what it is. Whether it's CJ Stroud catching, whether it's Andrews not knowing, whether it's poor communication, I don't know. But this is why when the flea flicker happens, we think CJ Stroud has the potential to avoid it because he avoids this play. He rolls out, he throws it away, he keeps it 2 yards for the distance to go. And then on 3rd down, they move the chains and they never really look back. I think this was a big moment, mistake, whatever it was, regardless of whether it was the center or the quarterback. CJ Stroud does a good job of using his athleticism and instincts. He throws the ball away. The Texans take the lead, and they never give it back. And that, although it wouldn't be a smooth sailing, But I thought that play was huge, and that drive's not possible if CJ Stroud doesn't, after the snap, make that play.
That's one of his best plays that he's going to get for, basically no box score credit for. Like, there's no positive yards to talk about or anything, but to avoid massive negative yards there after a great first down play, 8 yards on first down. After a great first down play, to avoid massive negative yards and give themselves a chance on third down, it's a great play by him.
Yep. So then we go to the second quarter, and the second quarter actually started during that drive. The Texans just smell blood. And this was where I think you could kind of see the transformation of pissed off Aaron Rodgers. F everybody on the sidelines. You all suck. I'm pissed off. This drive right here, the Steelers' first drive of the second quarter, which was their 4th drive overall. This was Aaron Rodgers just being pissed off at everyone, and you could just tell he knew. It's almost like he knew what was in store for him.
Yeah, it was one of they had one of those short passes that went sideways or was behind the line of scrimmage, whatever it was, and Naquan Jones just dominates Jonnu Smith for no gain.
He played his ass off too. Naquan Jones had a hell of a game.
Yeah, Naquan Jones and Lucky Fotu were in there helping out at defensive tackle.
Boy, the way that they immediately, and this is just the crazy thing about them, the way that they immediately addressed proactively the D line depth is just insane. They said, Davidson, no thank you, bye-bye. And then they're just bringing guys in, just another like under the radar, low key thing that only our nerdy asses would talk about. Yeah. But it's impressive the way that they did that.
To have added Naquan Jones off of waivers a couple of weeks before they even really needed that 4th body at defensive tackle, that was really good. And then to realize that Davidson or Tafuna or Haggai into BC weren't the guy and go get Fotu and have him be the other guy. It's a really good job by Caserio, and then DeMeco Ryan sprinkles the magic DeMeco Ryan's dust on the defensive tackle spot, and it works again. He's done it time and time again with, Sheldon Rankins this year, Mario Edwards before he got hurt, Tim Settle before he got hurt, Tommy Togiai last year and this year. Like, they just know how to coach up defensive linemen and make the most out of those defensive tackles. But yeah, that starting off with Naquan Jones, and he was pumped. He crushes Jonnu Smith.
Oh, you can hear him on the mic too.
You're like, okay, here we go. Like,
there was an LFG there.
Let's see what this drive's about.
Yep, nasty, absolute nasty. Then though, CJ Stroud, another bad snap and a fumble, and they give the ball back to the Steelers. Now, fortunately for them, the Texans are able to force the Steelers to settle for the field goal, which keeps the lead at 1. And Mark Berman put out the stat courtesy of ESPN Stats and Info. On Stroud's 2 F-ups, the Texans allowed 10 yards on 9 plays in that first half. 10 yards on 9 plays after the 2 turnovers by CJ Stroud. That right there is a bailout. that is the defense bailing out, and the Texans are clinging to a 1-point lead at that point.
Yeah. Yeah, that was – man, the defense overcoming the mistakes that the offense had, just – a huge piece of that performance being a great performance, one of the best in franchise history.
So then we have a potential Jalen Noel sighting. If you had Jalen Noel higher than half a reception, you were probably a little bit hurt by this. I thought CJ Stroud did a good job of even making this possible because Titus Howard was playing juvenile on this play. Backed that ass up. He backed his ass up right into CJ Stroud. And CJ gets it up. Jalen Noel drops it. And then Troy Aikman was critical of the clock management. I actually didn't have a problem with the clock management in this one. I thought the attack was fine.
No, it was awful.
I thought it was fine.
They moved 13 yards in 1 minute and 5 seconds. Pittsburgh used a timeout, and they used their second timeout. That's not good enough.
I was fine with it. And quite frankly, if CJ Stroud makes that throw to Nico Collins, we're talking touchdown or we're talking field goal.
But the Nico Collins throw happens after they've already burned 1.5 minutes off the clock and moved 13 yards.
Out of bounds, or he's in the end zone and they have time to either kill it or get in the end zone.
But Landry, you talk about this all the time, the results versus the process. They moved 13 yards in 1 minute and 5 seconds.
I had no problem with the process at that point. It's the same reason that when they were facing the Chargers, I was kind of hesitant to completely trust CJ Stroud because he'd already thrown the interception. He throws the interception. You're getting the ball at half. In this instance, I didn't have a problem. I had a problem against Indianapolis. I'm going to criticize him when it's right, when I feel it. Just my personal feel, Indianapolis was a fucking disaster, which I talked about with Nick Caley. The Chargers was a disaster. This one was kind of a mix of the two, where you balance aggressiveness with conservative, and I thought they did a good job. And if CJ Stroud doesn't sail that ball to Nico Collins, they end up stealing points. I had no problem with it. Yeah, and you also have a punter who just shanked a 22-yarder. So do you want to aggressively make that guy punt? Like I had no problem with this. This was CJ Stroud has to make that throw.
Yeah, but the operation before that throw that he has to make was bad.
I guess if you say so.
A minute and 5 seconds to move 13 yards with 2 timeouts, one from the opposing team. That's unacceptable.
It's just not really an explosive offense. But then we get to the second half, and this is where you wonder, how's Nick Caley going to come out? The offense comes out strong. They come out really strong. They move the rock effectively. Jaden Higgins is in the building. He has a couple catches for nearly 30 yards. Right off the top, you have the play action to Higgins. Woody Marks adds 14. Woody Marks adds 10. Woody Marks for 3. And then CJ Stroud, scared to run, man. Scared to run and scared to even go outside and set his feet. And that's been a theme. 20 yards in the 6 games since he's returned. It's a tough go. It's a tough go for CJ Stroud. And at this point, you're just wondering, God, hopefully they escape with this.
Yeah, it was an awful play on a variety of levels. He didn't attempt to run. And I don't know if he gets the first down or not, but I know what happens if he tries to run. They still have an opportunity to kick the field goal. But he didn't try to run. It looked like there were lanes. Even if he didn't see lanes, that throw had a 0.5% chance of being completed to Xavier Hutchinson. Less than that. Like it was not a high percentage pass. It's not like he threw some like awesome pass and the defensive back made a great play. No, he threw a really bad pass, off balance, kind of funky delivery behind a player that he had a low chance to complete the pass to. It was a very bad play by CJ Stroud. It took at least 3 points off the board.
Yeah, that was one of the worst ones, and you start to wonder, okay, is the defense going to be able to handle things? Well, they do. They end up holding them again. There was a near PI perhaps that could have been called on Kamari Lassiter, but it did not get called. I'll be honest. I think it more times than not, I think that flag gets thrown, but it does not get thrown. And the rules analyst, for what it's worth, thought it was the right call. And I think Troy Aikman and Joe thought it was too.
Well, if he thought it was the right call, it was the wrong call then. I thought it was pass interference. In the live play, they showed it from another angle. It looked like maybe it was light enough that you wouldn't call it. I know some people were advocating for the playoffs, let them play. Calvin Austin was advocating for throw that freaking flag, you idiot. And so was Aaron Rodgers. They were not happy with that.
All right, then we go to the opportunity for the Texans, and on this one, this was maybe one of CJ Stroud's worst calls because he bails when he shouldn't, and Dalton Schultz is wide open. And Troy Aikman, who has a lot of experience in getting the crap knocked out of him and concussions and all that, he pointed it out. And you had that, and then you had the sail over the head of Nico Collins, which it looked like Nico slipped too. So it was kind of a tough process all along. But this is where you wonder, CJ Stroud, man, he's just got to make it out of there alive.
I don't believe that was going to be a completed pass to Nico if Nico hadn't slipped. And even if it was going to be well short of the sticks, and they were going to have to punt anyway.
Yep. So then you go ahead.
I thought that was a bad pass.
Oh, it was definitely a bad pass. There was also a slip too.
Yeah. I'm not excusing Nico from the slip, but I don't think it was going to be caught anyway. And if it was going to be short of the stick. So I thought bad pass.
Which would make sense based on what we'd seen. Then Adam Thielen gets a 21-yard gain. What the hell is going on in this world? And then you have Azeez Al-Shire bottling up Jonnu Smith. He goes crazy. Aaron Rodgers should have got called for grounding on second down. I don't know why they didn't call it. He wasn't throwing it to anyone, and the guy was 15 yards down the field. So maybe he bitched his way into not getting that called against him, but I thought it was definitely grounding. But fortunately for the Texans, on third down, Danielle Hunter, he forces the fumble. Pittsburgh falls on it, and the Texans force a punt, clinging, and I do mean clinging, to a 7-6 lead.
Danielle Hunter coming up big in that moment. The pass rush was really, really starting to get to Rodgers and make things difficult for him in the second half. I thought there were moments in the first half, but it felt very constant in the second half with what they were bringing to the table.
All right, then we go to the drive where the Texans finally get that much-needed, more than a field goal lead. The big moment, once again, I mean, my goodness.
Captain Kirk has arrived. I repeat, Captain Kirk has arrived.
Much like he did on the previous Texan scoring drive, CJ Stroud overcomes a botched snap. This time, I don't know that he was ready for it, but on another bad second down botched snap, which makes it 3rd and 15, he finds Christian Kirk for a 46-yard gain, and that leads to the Texans taking a 10-6 lead. But once again, CJ Stroud overcomes whatever the hell is going on between he and the center, and he makes a big play once again to Christian Kirk on third down.
Yeah, it was just incredible throw. Great route by Kirk. Good stuff by both of them. I do want to note the start of that drive was the Nico Collins concussion.
Yes, Nico Collins was going to be brought up afterwards. Yes, Nico Collins he gets carted off with his head down. He's not playing Sunday. Let me just tell you, he's not playing Sunday. So we can talk protocol, all that. I know Alpha Aaron will ask about it. Matter of fact, I think he tried to ask DeMeco about it yesterday.
Hey, bro, Alpha Aaron here.
He ain't playing.
I also thought they got into 1st and 20 after Titus Howard had a hold on a run play. I really thought they did a pretty good job on the next 2 downs. 7 yards by Woody Marks on the ground and a nice little 7-yard reception to give themselves a chance on third down. Now, they ultimately had to kick the field goal, but they gave themselves a chance on 3rd and 6 when it was 1st and 20. They haven't always done that as an offense, so that was a really small, tiny thing that I really liked from the offense.
Yeah, no doubt. And then we go to the fourth quarter. You're still a little bit worried. It's 10-6. Pittsburgh gets the ball. Immediately Gainwell for 12. Then Gainwell absolutely lit the F up. Throw it up, Cody. Throw it up. Tommy Togiai just absolutely knocks that little mother trucker into next week. And then the play of the game where people could breathe, Sheldon Rankins, just like Chris Carter, all he does is score touchdowns, scoop and score. Texans have a 2-possession lead. At that point, you can breathe, you can relax, and the Texans are pretty much on the fast track towards a divisional round showdown in New England.
That was such a good play by Will Anderson, but it was an even better play by Rankins. He bodies the left guard, who just, I mean, that's a former first-round pick, I think, that they have at left guard. He just tossed him aside. He's there, sees the football, rips it away from the Steeler who has it on the ground, never goes down, is never close to being down, and then picks it up and takes it the other way for a touchdown. Incredible job by Sheldon Rankins.
Yep. Incredible. And then the wheels kind of fall off. Aaron Rodgers pissed. On third down, you have the old man, the OG with that grown man strength. Derek Barnett tips down the pass. The Boo Birds are out. And then the Texans just get kind of mean. 2-piece combo of just straight up USC assholery. You have the Woody Marks touchdown with the hot mic where he's saying a hell of a lot there. Christian Kirk, by the way, with another 33-yard reception on third down. Then Nick Chubb comes in. He moves the chains. He also draws a face mask. Texans score. And then Kalen Bullock, for good measure, with the pick 6 to make it 30-6. I will note that Kaimi Fairbairn kicked his extra point under the goalpost. Might not matter now, but something to monitor moving forward. No, by the way, cold weather Kaimi was wearing O.J. Simpson gloves. I don't even think he was wearing football gloves. He was trying to stay warm.
Got the isotoners on.
He was cold. But he kicked that 51-yarder. Didn't even mention that. That 51-yarder was massive by him, and he nailed it. But extra point, maybe something to make a note of in that Van Gundy philosophy. But those are the landmark key moments. Did I miss any?
I did not go back and watch the extra point a ton because I was
Writing.
I was figuring out exactly if that was going to be Aaron Rodgers' last pass ever as a football player, and it might be, which is awesome for Caleb Bullock. But I'd be interested in going back and looking at that kick and seeing if that was just. I've never seen a kick go like that didn't have something else mess up besides the kicker. So I don't know. I mean, that was weird.
Yeah,
it's one thing to go left or right. It's another thing to go line drive like you're hitting the ball in the outfield.
Yeah, it was rough. It's something to keep an eye on. Didn't matter. That 51-yarder was huge. I know that Rankins ended up giving some breathing room, but making that a 4-point game was rather big. Those are the landlocked key moments. Now let's get some context for those moments in a sec from Cody Stoots. First, though, SNL presented by TDECU. Let's hear from you people, and I do mean you people. Tell them how they get that Texans debit card.
TDECU.org/Texans, or head in one of the 15 greater Houston area locations and get signed up, get you a Texans debit card and all the fantastic perks that come with being a member at TDECU. Memberships required, insured by the NCUA.
Swarm.
Mushroom 713 says, on the fly home, Andrews better have been throwing it back to CJ in the cockpit. They're apparently working on the lines, they said.
Phrasing, Mushroom, phrasing.
Yeah, that's
I like Jake will tell us. We'll go talk to Jake this week and ask him what the hell what happened.
Yeah, and he sucked. I mean, he didn't play good. Like that's not hard to say, but something's going on there. I don't know what's going on. There were a couple where CJ just didn't catch it. Snaps are going to be low. Snaps like it's going to happen. There were a few where CJ just didn't catch it.
I thought one, it looked like Andrews snapped it before Stroud was ready, but I thought the other ones where CJ just didn't catch the football.
Yeah, I agree. And some people were saying, well, the snaps were because of the volume. Dude, he snapped it through CJ Stroud's legs when CJ Stroud was behind him at home. So I mean, like it's not just the sound or anything like that. The center QB exchange has been bizarre to say the very least for a while. Jake Asman, he says CJ channeled his inner Justin Fields. Great impression. Goodness gracious.
How's the? Well, maybe Aaron Glenn will channel his inner DeMeco Ryan to get the defense rolling up there in New York, Jake.
Hey, let me ask you something. What does Aaron Glenn do well as a head coach?
Probably not much.
Chance Harris says, great when it mattered when it comes to CJ Stroud.
I mean, there were some moments where it mattered and he was pretty shitty.
Dat boy Glowski says, or Glowski, whatever, however he wants to say it. Eli Stroud will be all right. Uncharacteristic game.
I do wonder if this person is calling him Eli Stroud because he felt like the defense carried him. Like I guess people believed Eli had the defense carry him in the playoff run. There was one playoff run where Eli was awesome.
Or maybe he thinks that he's going to beat New England like Eli used to do. Izzy says at this point, how do y'all feel on giving CJ a max? So like he's not getting an extension after the year. And if he does, it's not going to be probably what he desires. So nah. Timothy says if you had to choose to pay the defense and drop
one more Eli Stroud thing. I saw Seth tweet this from NFL Research. Stroud became just the second player since fumbles were recorded to have 5 or more fumbles in a game and win, including the playoffs. The only other player to ever do it, Eli Manning, in 2007.
So there you go. Maybe there's a little more to that than I gave it credit for. Timothy C6684 says, if you had to choose to pay the defense and draft a QB or pay CJ and lose defensive players, which one? It's easy to say draft a QB. Like, what QB are you talking about? I'm not opposed to day 2 or day 3 project quarterbacks at this point. Now I know Graham Mertz drives Cody crazy, but I'm not opposed to doing what the Patriots did with Tom Brady, where you're just drafting guy after guy, like every once in a while project quarterbacks. But I mean, CJ's your guy at this point.
If I
was going to lose players no matter what.
If I was doing that, I would do what the Eagles did, which is just I'd identify a guy that's different than the guy I have in case I need him.
Stefan K, shout out to you, mi amigo.
Thank you.
Stacy on the chat says we are a CJ Stroud switch flip away from getting to where we have never gotten before. Even Kirk and Kaylee flip the switch, and maybe the defense can carry you to there. If we're being completely honest, I don't think it's too far fetched to think against the Pats. Malik says it's about to be BTA versus the Pats. Their O-line is worse than Pittsburgh's. Their stunts will be blocked. Don't know about that part. They have one worst Russian sacks in the NFL. Don't let Landry fool you. I'm assuming he's saying Landry.
I don't know. I don't know who LA is.
I would agree with you that there's a belts to ass potential.
There are some very weak points about the Patriots, certainly.
Yes, and it's not. It's actually their skill position guys are somewhat similar to the Steelers, if we're being honest. Like you got two pretty good backs, one that's pretty explosive in Travion Henderson. Diggs is not as good as Metcalf at this point, and then the rest of the receivers are just kind of blah. And you have a pretty decent tight end in Henry. There's a lot of similarities. Their O-line might be worse.
Their O-line's definitely worse.
Yeah, their O-line's worse. Their quarterback's way better. Their quarterback's way better, but their O-line's
the quarterback not only being better is also way more mobile.
Yeah. So that's something to keep an eye on. Stefan says big defense. Did defense reveal anything New England can use against them? No, they don't. They you know what's coming.
It's not how they operate as a defense.
Trey Calhoun says on Z chats, what do y'all believe is the reason Stroud is streaky and nervous? I literally get nervous with the ball in his hands now. He still makes good plays and all, but that dog in him seems to be quiet. I don't know. I think the hesitation to run is post-concussion because it wasn't a thing before. I think we've well documented that, including asking him about it. I don't know. I don't have the answer to that.
I'm sure they're looking for the answer to it over there in the building too.
Yeah, I have no idea. Cade says, doctors, Cody, thanks for hearing my craziness last night. What pass rush is better, New England or Pittsburgh? Any real chances of Stroud being benched?
Well, let's answer the last part. No, he's not going to get benched. What pass rush is better? I think Pittsburgh's pass rush is better than New England's. New England does it a different way because they don't have a Watt and a Highsmith, but New England will use games up front to get their pressure. But I think the Pittsburgh pass rush overall is better.
Yeah, but stunts are a problem for this team. But we'll see. Nathan says, I just realized if we win next week, this season is officially the franchise's best based on how far they have gone. It might be the best even if they lose, if we're being honest. Like that's how sad the history has been.
Yeah, I mean it's up there. I mean, it's up there as one of the best, and the goal is to go further than you did the previous year. So you basically need to win this one. And
it's kind of weird because, and we'll get into this with the CJ Stroud discussion when we go through the positions presented by TDECU, but. Like a lot of times you see a quarterback performance and it's like, damn, we wasted the quarterback performance and this sucks. You remember JJ Watt walking off the field with Deshaun Watson. We wasted one of your best years. You've seen Josh Allen go down in glorious defeat to Patrick Mahomes. I don't know that you can really waste a defense like this by not at least getting to the conference championship game.
You got to get there.
I mean, you have to. Like you've seen defenses carry guys. I know Asman was just in here like, the Jets did it with Mark Sanchez. So you can't waste efforts like this. MH Wheat Nation says, damn, our defense got Tomlin fired. Yeah, Mike Tomlin is out. Do you have any thoughts on Mike Tomlin being out? I think it's one of those things where it just gets stale. I tweeted out the 8 years before Super Bowl coaches depart. It just kind of got stale. I wouldn't be surprised if it was his decision, honestly.
Yeah, I guess the phrasing officially is that he stepped down. okay, whatever. It was time for both of them to do something different. The Steelers need to do something different, and Mike Tomlin needs to do something different. I'm sure he'll take a year off and be one of the hottest coaching candidates around. You think he jumps right back in? You think Mike Tomlin's done?
TV.
Well, that's what I said. I think he'll take a year off from coaching.
I think he's just going to go right to TV. Imagine this. Mike Tomlin on the ESPN set instead of either Marcus Spears or Ryan Clark or Stephen A. Mike Tomlin is a $10 million talent on TV.
This is so easy. Retire Terry Bradshaw and put Mike Tomlin in his spot.
Yeah, do something. Oh, that would be funny. Terry Bradshaw's been critical of him. Yeah, he belongs on TV, and he should make 8 figures doing it. I think Mike Tomlin is made for that. I think he would be a freaking badass.
Honestly, if Jason Garrett gets a job, NBC should try to get him. Like, everybody could use him. Everybody could use him.
He's a real talker. Nothing but respect for Mike Tomlin.
CBS is losing Matt Ryan. They could use Tomlin.
Get him in the studio. He's the man.
Yeah. I think Tomlin's going to do excellent on TV. And at the end of 1 year of TV, half the league will probably be knocking on his door trying to get him to coach.
MH Wheat Nation says, damn, our defense got Tomlin fired, as we just read. Shout out to Mike Tomlin. Him at the gym, 713. Is TJ Watt washed, or is Trent Brown that good?
Where's the curse, huh? Where's the curse, everybody? Huh? What about the SNL curse? Whoa, what happened? Oh, Kayvon Wallace got cut. Whoa, the curse. What happened? Where's your curse now? Where's your curse now, huh? I thought Trent Brown had a good game.
That's our boy, man. That's our boy. Trent Brown.
There may have been a conversation with people in power about the curse last week.
We agreed to this. No. You can pull back the curtain. Let the people know. Let the people, and I do mean you people, we'll let you know how unselfish we are when it comes to curses. I don't even believe in curses or jinxes, but I do respect other people's feelings. Tell the people, pull the curtain back, Cody.
There was a conversation that if Trent Brown got hurt or had a bad game, we would not request any more SNL exclusives for the rest of the year until training camp.
We agreed to that.
That would be nothing in the off season, nothing at OTA's minicamp until training camp. I then tried to add on.
We would still be in scrums, but we wouldn't get the SNL exclusives. We volunteered.
Yep. I then tried to add on, if Trent Brown doesn't allow a sack to TJ Watt, do we get something special? There was no agreement to that element of it. But, yeah, take your curse and shove it.
Pop, lock, and drop it. Pop, lock, and drop
He is still avoiding pop, though. There is that.
Did you see how long the conversation Cole Popovich and Aaron Rodgers had after the game was?
Yeah, maybe
I'm assuming there's a California connection.
I think there's a California connection. I think there's a COVID bro connection. They both refused to get vaxxed.
Maybe a little bit of that, too.
No, Cole Popovich left New England because he refused to get vaxxed. Aaron Rodgers refused to get vaxxed. There's California bro and vax connection.
I heard the words Fresno or something, so I think there was some California talk. I will say about the Cole Popovich thing. I think if I'm going to talk to him at any point, it's going to have to be at the parade. Because when I asked for him, that was the last time they lost. They haven't lost since. They haven't lost since then. So I can't mess up the mojo.
TJ Watt is now 0-5 in the playoffs. For all the crap we get for wasting JJ's career, is it possible the Steelers have done worse with TJ? It's similar. It's very similar.
The Steelers have had some pretty underwhelming quarterback play coming into those games.
So did JJ before Deshaun. Like, and JJ had already been beat up before Deshaun. Like, JJ already had a beat up body. I know in 2018 he lasted the whole season. He actually came back that year after getting hurt. Or that was 19. 19 he came back against the Bills, right? Yeah, when they beat Josh Allen. 18 he played the whole season. They lost to Indy. 19, he came back with the torn pec against Josh Allen. He had the sack. But that was before Deshaun. But yeah, I mean, there's been underwhelming QB play, and it seems like he's starting to get beat to crap too. So yeah, I think there are some similarities there.
Yeah.
The Rhino says CJ will be fine. He's our best kid.
I wasn't ready for he's our best kid. That's good.
Shout out to Chris Ballard.
He's our best kid.
Or not. All right, let's get some context here from Cody Stoots. Cody's context.
All right. 3 turnovers ties a career high for CJ Stroud. He had a 3 interception game against the Cardinals in 2023. He had a 2 fumble, 1 interception game against the Cincinnati Bengals in 2023. So that's the most turnovers he's had in a game. 3, so matches his career high. That was bad. I gave you the Eli Manning was the only other quarterback to have 5 fumbles and win a football game. Most receiving yards in a game for Christian Kirk. Career high for Christian Kirk in this game. Like, incredible. He had 200 and
has arrived. I repeat, Captain Kirk has
There's
arrived.
such a different vibe with this soundbite now. Like I stayed loyal to it, even when it was bad. It's just a different. I got to play that as much as possible at this point, Cody.
Yeah, it's fantastic. It's fantastic. He had 239 receiving yards in the regular season in 13 games played. He had a game where he had 2 catches for -3 yards. And then he has his career high in the playoffs when they needed him. It's a great job by Christian Kirk. Woody Marks, 5.9 yards per carry. That's obviously a season high for the rookie running back. Nick Chubb's 4.8 yards per carry is a season high with 10 or more carries for Nick Chubb. He had a couple of games where he only had like 3 or 4 carries. He had like 9 yards a carry. But as far as 10 or more carries, 4.8 is a season high for him. Woody Marks had 1 carry in this game for 1 yard. The other 18 carries went for 2 or more, with the majority of them going for more than 3 yards. This is a team that at different times this year was getting stuffed at a very high level, 0 and negative rushes, and they were not getting stuffed at all in this game. Woody did not get stuffed once. Chubb got stuffed once in this game. Great job by the offensive line in the run game in this one. So I thought that was notable, and that's something that's really turned the corner for them here in the back half of the season, is they're not getting stuffed nearly as much. Last few weeks, I should say. And then the 48.6 quarterback pressure rate allowed by the Texans in this game is the second highest this season, behind only Kansas City. And it was the highest by any team in the wild card round. So got to protect a little bit better. Got to keep some of that heat off of CJ Stroud. Now, he invited some of it and then compounded it and made it worse. So that's not good. But that pressure rate has got to come down if they're going to be successful as an offense.
All right, that's Cody's context as the Texans get the dub. Let's get into the players of the positions, and we'll go through the positions of what's going on with the Texans, and we'll start with the quarterback.
Bad day.
Quarterback Obbs. Can CJ Stroud do enough to win, and what do we think of his day? That's where we start.
I mean, there's no way he can play a worse game than that.
Okay.
Right? Would you agree with that? Like, I don't think in 6 days he's playing a worse game than that.
I don't know. There was some really good, man. Like that's the problem, is that there was some really, really good. Like if it does the really, really good, is that something that you 100% count on? Because that's the conflict of talking about CJ Stroud, is the bad was as bad as it gets, but there was also some really, really good. So when you ask that question, like if you eliminate the really, really good and the bad's not as bad, is that worse? So that would be my question. Like, I don't think he's going to fumble 5 times. I don't think he's going to make as many mistakes, but is he going to be able to be that good? Like, I don't feel like I can depend on either one. And that's where the back and forth game goes with CJ Stroud, with where I sit.
Yeah, my thing would be, is the bad was so bad that I don't think you can replicate that. You know, the snaps, the fumbles, the interception that was bad, some of the missed throws. Like, he's going to miss throws. I'm not expecting a guy to be perfect, but some of the key moments in which he missed those throws, I don't think he's going to replicate that again. But this is a bad day for CJ Stroud overall for me.
Yeah, and it was interesting to hear CJ Stroud, his assessment of his performance. This is what CJ had to say, and I listened to this, and a couple of thoughts crossed my mind. Let's hear what CJ Stroud had to say about his own assessment of his performance.
I think it's amazing for those guys to keep faith and trust in me, and I have faith and trust in myself. Learn from my mistakes and try to move on. And I know things I need to get fixed, but I think I had a good game, but just got to clean those things up. But for those guys to always keep me uplifted is really helpful. Guys come up to me and give me encouragement, but I think but everybody. One thing I like about our team is everybody holds themselves accountable. It's not just on CJ, not just on me. So I've been on teams like that where that's a lot of pressure, but everybody is I could have did this better, I could have did that better. But I think it does start with me. I got to take care of the football, but I thought other than that, I thought I played a good game, and those guys did as well. So
I think there's a couple of things here.
Other than that, Mrs. Lincoln, how was the play?
Here's my thing about the CJ Stroud thing, and a couple of things to take from there that I think are the way that I am going to adjust my mindset moving forward with the CJ Stroud roller coaster, as I call it, last night. So I always tell you that when I grade a player, when I assess a player, a lot of times it's based on expectations. And I tell the story about the journalist who had a player nose to nose with him, and he just flat out said, "Do you want me to adjust what I expect from you? And if so, then okay." I've kind of adjusted my expectations for CJ Stroud, and not so much because I don't think CJ Stroud is a top tier elite guy. I think there's times where he can play that way, but as far as just being a consistently top tier elite guy, I don't think that is realistic expectations at that point. He's still really good, and there's still times where we'll see stretches of that, but it doesn't happen. And I think the fact that he says that he played good after that, it tells you all you need to know. Josh Allen isn't putting out a performance like that and saying I played good. Aaron Rodgers in his prime is not putting out a performance like that and saying I played good. I don't think Drake May is putting out a performance like that and saying I played good. So maybe it's just unfair to kind of expect that. Matthew Stafford's not saying that. Okay, Tom Brady's not saying that. Like, elite guys are not saying that. I don't think Lamar Jackson's saying that. So I'm kind of adjusting my expectations. I still think he can be really good at times, but maybe that is good for CJ Stroud. The other thing that he points out, and this is the end of, and I kind of had a grasp of this, but I kind of like still had the respected hesitancy to completely just adjust the expectations. But the other thing is that there's been a constant theme for people who still do think that perhaps CJ Stroud can be that top tier guy to talk about his surroundings. His offensive line sucks, all that. Nuh-uh. Bye-bye. Like, this team is around CJ Stroud is as good a surroundings as any quarterback in this league has. He has a lot of weapons at wide receiver, even without Nico Collins. He has a running back who put on a Joe Mixon-like performance, and he has perhaps an all-time defense that is able to overcome his mistakes and mask his mistakes that he shouldn't be making. So the state of CJ Stroud's surroundings, which is what he said, I like that it's a team game. He doesn't have enough around him, that's gone. They put a good enough team around him to where he doesn't have to be Superman. And this could be the ultimate display of complementary football. But that's where I'm at with the CJ Stroud situation. He's good. It's not top tier elite, but his surroundings have improved to where you're not dependent on CJ Stroud.
I just felt like the mistakes he made were mistakes that he can't make in this position in his career. And it's not mistakes that he should be making. It's trying to do too much at the quarterback spot. You know that gets you in trouble. You got to catch the snap. You got to make some of those throws. And those are mistakes that are harder to forgive than some of the other stuff that he's done poorly at times. So it leans bad day for me, even though he had some nice moments within the bad day.
On the chat.
Swarm.
NIMO says Bills beat Broncos AFC ship in Houston. Let's go. Yeah, that's possible. By the way, Bills favored. Bills are favored to win that game. So if the Texans take care of business, the expectation in Vegas is they host a AFC championship game against Josh Allen and the Bills. I don't know if Josh Allen will be able to walk after what he went through in Jacksonville and what he's got in front of him against Denver. Common Sense says, is it me or does CJ seem to be drunk on fame? Maybe after year one. I don't think that's the case right now. I don't think that's a fair assessment.
Yeah, I don't think it's good. I don't think that's a good way to phrase it after this year. Maybe after last year, yeah, but not this year.
I think there's also a lot of too high, too low. I think he's fighting to balance that. I'll recommend just stay off of social media. So CJ Stroud, I would say if I were giving him a grade, I did this on Houston, a C.
Yeah. Can let me hit one comment real quick. When will Jake Andrews get called out for his mistakes? On this show all the time.
Yeah, throughout the season, we've said he hasn't been good.
Yeah,
that's been, and that's our boy. Like, we do not blindly defend anyone. Yeah, he's been bad, and I think we did it probably 6 times over the course of the show.
You know who else will call out Jake Andrews for Jake Andrews' mistakes?
Jake Andrews.
He's not running from the shit either.
Running back obs, A+. I mean, this was the best blend.
Incredible.
Best blend of the
Chubb and Woody
combination. This was a Joe Mixon-like performance from Woody Marks. I still want him to be 1B, but he was the dog here. And Nick Chubb, third down back, good job, my friend. That's an A+. Can't be better at running back.
Only 2 backs they ran out there, too.
Good mix.
Good job. Very good job by both those guys.
Wide receiver observations.
Captain Kirk has arrived. I repeat, Captain Kirk has arrived.
Christian Kirk, you got to start with Christian Kirk flipping the switch. An unbelievable. It was a Nico Collins-like performance, quite frankly. Like it was a Nico Collins-like performance, and Christian Kirk, my God, that his first catch for 33 yards was more than all but 3 of his games this season. That kind of puts in perspective how good it was. He also matched his touchdown total for the season with 1. He was fantastic, Christian Kirk. You can't say enough about it. Sprinkle in a little bit of Higgins. Xavier Hutchinson made a play. Nico Collins, not a great game, and he ends up leaving. He's likely out Sunday. But I thought the wide receivers were good given the opportunities that they had.
Yep, I totally agree. And Kirk having that game at that time, huge from him. Fantastic stuff from Captain Kirk.
Tight end obs.
I mean, didn't notice them a lot in a bad way, which is always a good thing because sometimes they can have some bad blocking moments. But you know, they're a piece of some of that blocking. They're a piece of some of that pressure coming in off the edge sometimes too. You know, not a huge statistical game from Dalton, which is rare. I mean, usually when CJ's in a groove, he's finding Schultz on a consistent basis. I thought Schultz got popped pretty early once, and I wonder if that rattled the cage a little bit. And you know, CJ having some of the troubles that he had maybe kept him from getting the ball to Schultz. Stover had the 1 catch, 2 catches. You know, he's fine.
Yeah, Stover moved the chains on a 3rd and short. He also had a couple of catches. I thought Schultz catch on the Texans' first scoring drive was crucial. It was a little bit low. He went down and got it, but the tight ends were fine. I'll give them an A or a B, and they weren't completely exposed in pass pro. Offensive line, look, this is a tough one for me, Cody, because I want to sit here and say hell of a job with the run blocking and everything like that. But when you have a quarterback center exchange that's going the way that it's going with CJ Stroud and Andrews, even though it might not be all Andrews' fault, but some of it is, I got to just give them a C. And that's kind of tough based on expectations, but you're not getting a B when that type of crap is happening.
Well, they weren't great in the pass game, and they were really good in the run game. So I think C is very appropriate. You know, if this is a test and, you know, the essay was worth X number, you know, the essay on the run game was good. The multiple choice on the pass game was bad.
Yeah. And I don't know what's up with Andrews and Stroud. They're going to have to figure that out.
Yep.
Sooner rather than later. The weather's not going to get any better in New England. So be ready for that. We go to the defensive side of the ball. I got a feeling there's going to be a lot of good grades here. Defensive line, A+. Everyone was good. Everyone contributed from the top to the bottom. Sheldon Rankins with the biggest play of the game. Will Anderson, Daniil Hunter, they did what they do. Even the reserve guys did their thing. D-line, Derek Barnett batted down a pass on 3rd down. Like it was literally a top to bottom contribution on the D-line. Linebackers, Hey, Henry To'oTo'o had one moment where he slipped on a play. Outside of that, he was awesome. Azeez Al-Shire has been awesome all season long. Linebackers, A, solid job by them.
Yep.
Jalen Pitre, I think, set the tone. Jalen Pitre was amazing. We've both admitted the extension looks good. We were wrong. He's done a good job. It wasn't going to go up much more. Maybe it would have with this performance, but he did his thing. Kalen Bullock, best ball that you can put in the trophy case. Miles Bryant held up when he needed to. Jalen Reed, wasn't terrible, and fortunately he didn't. He's back on the field for now, but the safeties were fine. Really good. Actually, really, really good. Beyond fine.
A for me, with them being the credited for, I guess, the 2 DK catches, but that's about it. And A for me.
Cornerback, Derek Stingley. Early on, it didn't get off to an awesome start. It wasn't anything too costly. You had the drop. Kamari Lassiter did have the PI, but the cornerbacks held up. They were great. They're fine. They're fantastic. They set tones. A+. I'm going to give them an A+, even though, even by their standards, they probably thought they could have been a little bit better.
I don't think so. By their standards, they're pretty happy on social media.
They tweeted. Yeah, I did see that.
Yeah,
they're on there. Special teams. I'm going to give it a B. Nothing in the return game on either end. You shank a 22-yard punt, you miss an extra point. In a game like this, it might not matter, but in a game like most playoff games, that could bite you in the ass, and it could end your season. So I've never seen Kyrie Fairbairn kick an extra point under the crossbar, and Tommy Townsend 22-yard shank. That takes this grade down to a B, although he did recover nicely.
Yeah, B's totally fine with me.
Coaching obs. What do we think of Nick Caley? Let's start with Nick Caley as we get to the coaching obs.
I would say A, especially if we're grading on what the expectation is. A. He did a really good job. I thought there were some really nice moments where he trusted the run game and just kept shoving it down Pittsburgh's throat. So I'll go A.
Yeah, I would give the coaching an A. The defensive game plan was what it was. Special teams, there wasn't a bad game plan. They just did their thing. So the coaching, I would definitely give it an A. Now, here's my next question before we get out of here. I have 2 questions before we head to DeMeco Ryan's press conference. The first one is New England the ideal second round matchup? We said Pittsburgh was. Is New England the ideal second round matchup? That doesn't mean that they win, just like it didn't mean that they were going to win against Pittsburgh. But when you look at the possibilities, is this the ideal path continuing for the Texans?
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to get Denver in the AFC Championship, I think that's better than getting them here. So I like it. I like the matchup, and for a team that really wasn't impressive offensively for a lot of the game against the Chargers defense that's not as good as the Texans defense, it's a good spot.
Yeah, I think it's a good spot. Quite frankly, I think New England's offense is good and they trick, but they were going against a team that has had 250 offensive line combinations in the Chargers. So I think perhaps that defense looked a little bit better. Their offense was actually kind of a non-factor. I don't know if that offensive performance is going to be as possible against the Texans defense, and B is going to be enough. So I do think this is the ideal matchup. Does that mean they win? I would say no. I mean, anything can happen. They have the quarterback advantage. Drake May is playing better than CJ Stroud. He's also very mobile. It will be interesting to see if CJ Stroud is at least willing to use his legs in this game, because there's going to be a lot of opportunity. It's also just going to be interesting to see how the Texans do handle the stunts. But I do think this is a good matchup. And you also factor in Nico Collins was going to miss no matter what. Their best corner might not be on the field as well. So you kind of look at that. Like, it's not like you're playing Denver and Patrick Surtain's out there without Nico Collins, or you're facing Buffalo without them having the significant injury in the secondary. You have that. So I do think this is the ideal matchup. Next question. What were their historic performances last night? Would you agree that it was the best defensive performance in playoff history and the best wide receiver performance in playoff history?
Yes, and yes.
Okay, so there we go. Yeah. 2 historic performances, and the most historic opportunity of all this Sunday, first time the Texans could possibly go to the AFC Championship game. What a time to be alive.
Yeah, it's a fantastic spot and a fantastic opportunity, and it's going to be Sunday's going to be a blast, man. It's going to be awesome.
Shout out to everyone in the chat. Thank you very much for the generosity. Thanks for rolling with us. We'll be back at it at 6:00. Look out for the video of the 15 big moments to drop on the Locker Room channel. If you're not subscribed to Houston Football and don't want to, and you want to represent the written word, when it comes to the Texans. Do that. And Texans Collective is going to be live at 6. So business doesn't stop. We're doing this whether they win or lose. This is what we do. We do this 365. You people, I do mean you people, you know that. We've been doing it for a few years, and there's nowhere we would rather be.
And we'll see you Friday at BB's in Kingwood. So don't forget that either. Come out and get ready for the playoff game with us Friday at BB's.
And then the Friday after that, we will be at Spanky's. And then the TriStar Collectors Show. We got some opportunities for you. Before we get out of here, let's get the Cody Stoots, TDECU Players of the Game, presented by the greatness that is TDECU.
All right, players of the game. I went with Sheldon Rankins, but really it's the whole defensive line. Obviously, I mean, they were fantastic. He scored the touchdown, but with the whole defensive line, Will Anderson, Daniil Hunter, everybody. I went with Kalen Bullock on the picture, but really it's the whole secondary. I mean, just fantastic in the performance.
You get a game ball. You get a game ball. You get a game ball.
And then Christian Kirk with a career-high receiving yards when they needed him. Christian Kirk.
Captain Kirk has arrived. I repeat, Captain Kirk has arrived.
TDECU Players of the Game.
Shots fired at Woody Marks. Now let's get some TDECU Where Credit is Due, presented by the Woody Marks hater, Cody Stoots. Take it away.
But who's Woody Marks getting on here over these guys?
He's getting on there over Bullock.
It's not just Bullock, though. It's the secondary.
Yeah, well,
The secondary had a better day than Woody Marks did.
That's another issue on itself. You just don't want to make a decision. That's the whole point of the player of the game. You just don't want to.
There are no rules to this. I make the rules.
All right, let's go to the TDECU Where Credit is Due.
Woody Marks, where credit is due to Woody Marks, career high in rushing yards in this one. A lot of them coming when the game was already in hand, by the way.
Oh, come on. Woody Marks hater, you're not helping the cause here with this, Cody.
Okay, Jalen Pitre, credit is due there. He set the tone there in the middle of the defense and on the edges. And then I threw one to Daniil Hunter for the sack and the forced Aaron Rodgers mistake early in the game. So there you go.
There you go.
Where credit is due.
Appreciate everyone for rolling through. One more chat from TX Perp Sipper says matchups don't matter if the Texans defense is going to play like that. It comes down to CJ's
maybe playing like that. Maybe is the only thing I can think of.
Yeah, maybe playing like that. It comes down to the play. He's the reason to win or lose against the Patriots. I don't even know that you're 100% dependent on CJ Stroud.
Well, if he has a bad day, you're going to lose.
Yep, no doubt. Appreciate everyone for rolling through. Shout out to TDECU for doing what they do. We'll see you on the Texans Collective tonight at 6. We're going to DeMeco Ryan's press conference, which is in 5 minutes. Go to tdcu.org/Texans. Get that Texans debit card. Membership required, insured by the NCUA.
All right, hit him with the slogans. Let's get out of here.
Subscribe, like, ride along. Always remember, when it comes to this Texan stuff, we're all in it together.
Eat good, sleep good, be good. We'll talk Texans again soon. Thanks for watching, everybody.
What did Woody Marks do to you?
Nothing.